a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today, signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon of light, of hope to the millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of weltering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still languished in the corners of American society and finds himself on an exile in his own land. And so we've come here today to dramatize a shameful condition. In a sense, we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed their unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check, a check which has been marked, which has come back marked insufficient funds.
All right.
We refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds and the great flaws of the opportunity of this nation. And so, we've come to cash this check that will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice. We have also come to this hollow spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children.
Amen. Amen.
It would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the moment. This sweltering summer of the Negro's legitimate discontent will not pass until there is an invigorating autumn of freedom and equality. 1963 is not the end, but a beginning. And those who hope that the Negro needed to blow off steam and will now be content will have rude awakening if the nation returns to business as usual. And there will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is granted his citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges. But there is something that I must say to my people who stand on the warm threshold which leads into the palace of justice. In this process of gaining our rightful place, we must not be guilty or wrongful deeds. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must now allow our creative protest to degenerate into physical violence. Again and again, we must rise to the majestic heights of meeting physical force with soul force. The marvelous new militancy which has engulfed the Negro community must not lead us into distrust of our white people. For many of our white brothers is evidence that their presence here today have come to realize that their destiny is tied up with our destiny. And they have come to realize that their freedom is inextricably bound to our freedom. We cannot walk alone.
And as we walk, we must make the pledge that we shall always march ahead. We cannot turn back. There are those who are asking the devotees of civil rights, when will you be satisfied? We can never be satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of the unspeakable horrors of police brutality. We can never be satisfied as long as our bodies heavy with the fatigue of travel cannot gain lodging in the motels of the highways and the hotels of the cities. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro's basic mobility is from a smaller ghetto to a larger one. We can never be satisfied as long as our children are stripped of their selfhood and robbed of their dignity by the sign stating for whites only. We cannot be satisfied as long as a Negro in Mississippi cannot vote and a Negro in New York believes he has nothing for which to vote. No, we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
How are y'all doing? I'm going to do a poem. Y'all probably not surprised. It's called Why Aren't You Dreaming? The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King should not be the only one with a dream. Martin only lived 39 years, but still made an impact. See, Mr. King knew it was bigger than that. Dr. King knew he was a spiritual being inside of a human. He knew his dream would come true. He wasn't just assuming. Do you think God gives us dreams just because? I mean, come on, sister. Come on, bro. They say we only use 10% of our brain. With 10%, we've done a lot of things. Just imagine if we could learn to use the rest. We were created to bless and be blessed. Every part of you has purpose. Your dreams are not worthless. We give too much credit to coincidences and deja vu. You are in the image of God. That's why your dreams come true. Everything you say is a prayer that comes to life. You may disagree with me, but you can only prove me right. You often hear yourself say something told me that was going to happen. You have to use your dreams to the maximum. You can speak of someone and they will walk in. Dreams turn into reality in the end. It's deeper than dreaming while you're sleeping. You dream while you're awake and blinking. See, dreams are your thoughts. Don't let your dreams get away. Your dreams must be caught. You have to pray and meditate. With your mind, you can go any place. You have to picture how you want your day to be. Reality is in your dreams before reality. Martin Luther King Jr. did what God planned. Remember, there was a spirit inside that human. If everyone would act on your dream, everyone would be further ahead. Purposely plant positive dreams in your head. Wherever you are trying to go, see yourself there. Don't ignore your dreams. Show God that you care. I no longer get surprised when good things happen to me, because I expect God to be exactly who God is supposed to be. When blessings surprise you, your faith is not that strong. You may disagree with me, but you cannot prove me wrong. I expect a miracle. I expect impossible to become possible. And please don't mess up my dreams with your gossip. Some dreams should be kept to yourself. You can't tell everyone because the devil has help. But anyway, I know I'm supposed to talk about Martin Luther King, and that's cool. But that's like the only black man they give us in school. Learn about those that they will never teach. You can't blame anyone. It's your fault that you don't reach. Martin Luther King Jr. would want you to learn more. He opened one, but there are many more doors. I think Martin would want you to have your own dream, because it's way bigger than Barack Obama and Martin Luther King. Why aren't you dreaming?
Now come on and give it up for Froze, amen? Amen. The Rufus William Chancellor Choir is coming now, amen? Let us say amen for the